Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Silas Johnson.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello, Silas.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, Silas, how's it going? Just want to give you a heads up. I pulled the trigger already. We are currently live, and thank you for calling in to You Have a Collect Call From. And today, if you're just if you're here when it started, there's no secret that we got Silas on today. You know, I want to go ahead and thank you, for taking time out of your day to reach out and have these conversations that I feel we should have.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you creating the space for us to do this, man. Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll get a call in from Manny today. You know, she could bless us with her presence, and it definitely adds a different dynamic. When you have your female, your counterpart or your wife, on that phone, and it's I think she adds a different view, a different point of view from a woman's perspective that's currently in a relationship with a gentleman like yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's certainly a different view,
Oh yeah. So for today, I was thinking about doing something a little bit different today, and I wanted to get into mental health and emotional intelligence. What do you think about that?
It sounds good, man. Let's do it.
That's right, man. That's why Silas, my man, right there. Yeah, always willing to.
I'm always up for a good time, man.
That's right, man. So let me ask you. So, how diligent do you think residents are about maintaining their mental health? Right there where you're at.
I think it's getting better. I think it's getting better over time. I think people are starting to we're starting to make the connections to our thoughts, our thoughts and feelings and actions. And so I think that people are a little bit more diligent and they're starting to pay more attention. But I mean, I think as a population, as a community, we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, and how do you think the administration is are they better equipped now, to help you guys with emotional support than they were when you originally walked in through those gates?
I'll say this: they make a better show of having resources available. I mean, if you have an issue, a mental health issue, technically, you can duck it, the clinician, the psychologist, and go talk to the psychologist. But there is no running therapeutic regimen, and what I mean by that is there's no one-on-one, intensive therapy. You have to be at Centinela. You have to be a part of the mental health delivery service system, and that is triple CMS. And so this is a prison that doesn't have that here, doesn't have the triple CMS program. So in order for you to seek treatment for or whatever, any type of mental health issue, you would have to go see the clinician. They will refer you to another psychologist. And ultimately, if they viewed you in need of full-time care, you would be moved to another prison, which is, the state of California has all of these prisons. I mean, it seems to me kind of foolhardy to have to move someone to another prison simply for mental health treatment. Now, I will say that there's if a resident is prescribed psychotropic medications, then there's a heat issue down here, and so they do have that issue of somebody taking what they deem as heat meds to where they can have a bad reaction.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
But every psychological diagnosis doesn't have to have, it doesn't have to be medicated, A therapy regimen, counseling can be administered, and that's just not available here. So I think that's a gap in the mental health delivery service here.
And let me ask you something, because you just mentioned a label that I seen thrown around on YouTube, and it would be triple CMS. Just to get clarification on that, a triple CMS, is that the new title for a JCAT?
Nah. Well, okay. There are different aspects. Triple CMS could be someone with social anxiety disorder, someone who is clinically depressed. It's just someone who is actually enrolled in a mental health delivery service and system in California in CDCR. Now, there's a step up, which is called EOP, Enhanced Outpatient. Okay, and that is you're talking about someone who, maybe schizophrenic, who doesn't bathe, and those are the people that people generally refer to when they label people JCATs, which is, I have an AA in psychology, and years ago I could laugh at something like that, but that's extremely ignorant, to kind of, disparage somebody who's not really in possession of all their mental faculties, my grandmother was schizophrenic. My grandfather, passed away with Alzheimer's and dementia. So mental health is something that's, I take that seriously.
And how do you think, or how, when somebody it's labeled EOP or triple CMS, what kind of stigma is there behind that? Because like you mentioned earlier on, you get moved, you can't stay in that facility where you're currently at. You have to get transferred somewhere else. You'll get transferred over to somewhere like Donovan, and I would assume it's a lot wilder, because you got people there that are not they're not within their mindset is not within this world, if that makes any sense. They're operating way different. They might be hearing voices, they might be seeing things, they might be hallucinating and things of that nature. So how do you think, back to my original question, sorry I veered off on that, but when somebody's labeled triple CMS or EOP, how is that looked upon on the population?
Well, in general population, you're looked down on. You can be black and be in the triple CMS program in general population. You could be on medication and be black in it, and as long as you're conducting yourself, as long as you're not experiencing any mental breaks or any episodes. If you are and you become a liability, then you're attacked. You're attacked and you're removed from the environment, so you don't jeopardize the rest of the African population. For whites and Southerners and Northerners, you are, as far as it may be different now, but to my knowledge, they were not permitted to participate in triple CMS. It was a hard line against that. I believe that's still the case. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, because a lot of things have changed, politically in the last 10 years. In the last 5 years. But as far as I know, they were excluded over here on this. Obviously, the environment, the social political environment is different. So, besides not being able to, to be triple CMS at this prison, there wouldn't be a stigma here. There are people with much larger issues here that people have to focus on besides someone seeking mental health treatment.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Um, you know what? I know, like on our earlier conversations, you had mentioned that you spent some time, in solitary confinement, and I think I don't know, it was like 6, 7, or 8 years, right?
It's about 7.5.
Man, yeah, that's definitely a long time, being in solitary confinement. I can't even imagine, which your mind, puts you through it, being away, from human contact for that amount of time. Um, could you could you tell the viewers what spending that much time in the shoe does to your mind?
Wow. Um, it's kind of a slow deterioration. It's kind of hard to describe. It's like everything is so structured in the shoe. There's a different degree of structure and monotony that happens in the shoe. It's just like Groundhog Day. Every day is the same. Everything is so structured. It's control movement everywhere, and your world becomes incredibly small. I mean, I'm sitting in my cell right now as we speak, but I've gone outside of my cell today for day room. I've gone to yard. I've gone to the gym. I've gone up to program. And that's just not happening. Every place you go is you're chained. You're chained. You're cuffed. Everywhere you go, and whether you're medical, the library, a cage on the yard, and it just makes it kind of does the same thing to your mind. It makes your world physically small because of the options that you have for movement, and it kind of does the same thing to your mind if you let it. And for me, I found that after a couple of years, it kind of sunk in like that. When I knew that I was going to be back there at least 4 or 5 years, and it just kind of it made your mentality like shrink too. Like for me, like Corcoran shoe, I did 5.5 there, the most time I've done in the shoe, and for me that became my whole world. And it definitely plays on your mind, and I mean it makes you're a fatalist. It makes every issue kind of like just do or die, and it's just really really strange to be in a situation like that.
Well, I can't even imagine, being in a situation like that, being away from, human contact for that amount of time. I think, I'm fine maybe with like a few hours. Like here in my household, it's me, my wife, and our young daughter. So it's very rare, when they're not around. But those moments that they are, like maybe like if they're gone more than 4 or 5 hours, I'm like, man, like it just feels off. So I could imagine for years, upon years, man, like I can't even imagine. I should say, because if not having human contact, we're social creatures. We're used to interacting with people, day in and day out, and to be removed from that, and just be confined, by yourself. Because if I remember correctly, you had mentioned that you were at one point you were single celled in the shoe, right? You never ended up receiving a new cellmate.
Right. I arrived in Corcoran shoe April 2008, and I
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I had a violent confrontation where I assaulted my cellmate with a weapon in 2009, in June 2nd, 2009. And I've been single cell ever since. I'm going on.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
In June, it'll be actually 15 years that I've been single cell. And I was just telling Annie today, it's crazy. I was in the day room, and the video visiting wasn't working, and I was just telling her, like, hey, look, I'm just going to go shower and go back in the cell. And she was like, well, it's good for you to be out of the cell. And, like, And I was telling her, like, it's so crazy that, like, I had gotten so used to just being in the cell by myself that it became a place of comfort, because that was all that I've known for all of these years. So I have to actually make a concerted effort to force myself out of the cell, to go to yard, to go to interact, so I don't fall back into that mindset.
And right now, we're down to about 10 seconds or so. If you wouldn't mind, giving us a call back, and we could go ahead and continue with where you left off. All right, so the call was cut off. He should be calling us back momentarily. Once he calls us back, then we'll go and continue with the conversation. And just to give you guys a heads up, if you guys are just showing up and are not aware what the topic is today, is mental health. Also, I'm gonna be going live with David and Jesse at about a little bit after 5:00. I did have another interview scheduled with a gentleman from Calipatria, but that didn't end up working out. They were having some issues with the phone service, which
Esta es Global
This call is
Talent.
now being
Usted
recorded.
tiene una llamada prepagada de
Silas Johnson.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel-Link.
Hello.
Okay.
You know what? Right now, like that you mentioned that you've been single celled for the last 15 years, and I would be saying this as somebody that's never been to prison, has done more than maybe, I think the longest I've ever been away would be like 8 or 9 months, but never in a prison setting like yourself. I think being single celled, I think it would kind of be like I would have that time to be with myself, and then when you're out in the day room, or doing your daily activities, you have all these people around you. So like whenever you don't want to be away from, or you don't want to be around anybody, I think it's nice that you have that option where you don't have to interact with somebody else in your space. You got your own space, and you have that you have that time alone to do whatever you want to do. Your thoughts. If you want to write, you write, read. Have a conversations with your loved ones. On the phone. You don't have that person. Even though I don't think people intentionally eavesdrop on you or listen to your conversations. In a place like that, I'm pretty sure everybody's paying attention to everything, even without them intentionally, trying to, hear what you're doing. But I think in your case, I think that is definitely a perk. I mean, but how do you feel about that?
It definitely is. It definitely is a blessing. I mean, obviously it's horrible the way the circumstances that I came to to possess this status. That said, it's actually freed me up to find myself. I've done a lot of introspection, a lot of hours and years of just time.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
And I've been able to hone my craft as a writer, to just to even become a critical thinker, and I've studied and obtained my degree. I've written a book. I'm studying now for my bachelor's degree, and us having this conversation right now, I'm actually the benefactor of someone who has the time and space to be able to pursue things that that probably I could have obtained had I had a cellie, but it definitely expedites the process being alone.
Yeah, and you know what? And as far as myself, like I know I'm all over the place with the questions and whatnot. I know I had originally started off with the shoe solitary confinement, and I want to draw you back. It's just something I just can't help myself. I have like all kinds of thoughts running through my mind and whatnot. So it's like, man, hold on, like I think this is a good question. So I'm all over the place, but I want to bring you back to the shoe. So when you're in the shoe, how were you able to cope with that? Being that time, being alone. Like, what kind of things could you do, to stay mentally sharp and not deteriorate?
A lot of reading, a ton of reading. I mean, there you would not believe the amount of intelligence that is back there in those shoes, man. I mean, there people go back into segregated housing units, and you have people back there, cats, Southern Mexicans with tattoos all over their face, hardcore gang members, who are back there reading about astrophysics. I'm so serious, man. I mean, you wouldn't believe the conversations that are being had in some of those cages back there, man. Like, I've had some of the best conversations that I've had with people in cages on the shoe yard. It's just a trip. So a lot of reading, a lot of writing, and exercising, of course, and really just they're the one thing that really assisted me, and which is ironic because I was single cell, is a sense of community that was in the shoe. I mean, black, white, Mexican, other, it didn't matter. Like, there was, having human beings cornered in a sense in that way of suffering, and we all had that in common, and there was a brotherhood that's born from that circumstance, and so, like, we leaned on each other, and there was a community back there, and I mean, I went through hunger strikes back there, with fellas back there, and so there's a sense of camaraderie that's really, that's really helpful back there, because you have people back there, and I mean, whether we admit it or not, because nobody wants to admit that, that they're having a tough time emotionally or mentally, this isn't the place for that, to be admitting stuff like that. So, I mean, but we lean on each other, and it really helped the community back there. I mean, particularly the fellas in my section with me, it really helped me.
And right now, you just mentioned that you participated in the hunger strikes. What year was this that this took place in?
It was 2010, 2011. 2010-ish, 2011. It was before the short corridor settlement up in Pelican Bay.
Oh, okay. And man, that's definitely, I think, to do something like that or participate in something like that, I think you have to be definitely a strong individual. I don't know, like, if I would, if I was starving and they come and put a tray in front of my my cell door, I don't think I have the willpower to refuse it. Because after a few hours of not eating, your body's telling you it wants to eat, and not anybody could just turn down the meal, and what were you able to consume while you were doing this hunger strike? Was it just water? What would somebody do in a case like this?
It was, well, we had, at first we had our personal, for the first time we did it, we had our personal food in the cell. So I had my personal canteen in the cell, and we were just refusing trays. So after the first round, what the administration did then was they came in our cell, because they used to come and weigh us every couple of days. So they would pull us out, have us talk to medical, and have us weighed. Well, the second round of hunger strikes, they actually pulled us out and went in our cells. They took all of my personal food, and then there was, it was, we were hungry. I was hunger striking for real.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's a trip, like, to see, like, this journey has been, it's been rough, but it's been really enlightening about myself, and just just human pathology, period. Like to have squad come in your cell and take your food and basically say by action, you know, if you're gonna hunger strike, then you're really gonna fucking starve. We're gonna make sure you have nothing, you know, and it was obviously to make us relent and to ask for the trays, you know, to accept the trays that they were giving us. But how sadistic is that? You know, it's just I mean, just, even looking back on that, I still can't believe that the moment they went in my cell, it's just ridiculous, you know.
And you know, and from participating in the hunger strikes, did you suffer any long-lasting, you know, health issues? Because I know, from what I've heard, you know, some people, you know, you know, they did pass away, and or they do have some lifelong, you know, health conditions, you know, because of the hunger strikes.
I fortunately didn't suffer any long-term effects. I mean, there was a southerner, a brother from Florence. He was down in tier, and he was exempt because he had diabetes. So like he had like a paste. It was like a peanut butter, like it was like a sugar based. And so like he'd send tubes of that down there to us, and like there was like little mouse holes, and like so he'd fish like roll up like the long way of a newspaper. He'd roll that up and tie it up and put like crush the top ramen soup in, and you know the holes were so small that we have to feed it in, you know, fish through there. So he'd send soups down there and stuff like that. So I was fortunate. Like I said, we had a really, really good community of fellas, and you know nobody went out, you know, like, you know, passed out or anything. You know, it was pretty solid. So I'm fortunate I didn't suffer any long-term effects of that.
What a relief. Yeah, definitely. I'm sure a lot of people, you know, they weren't, you know, when they got involved in this, I don't think that they thought that they were gonna have, you know, either lose their lives or have any you know, medical conditions or lifelong, you know, conditions, you know, with, you know, participating in that. But you know, it did bring awareness to, you know, the what would for the you know, it definitely, you know, shed light on the long term, you know, solitary conditions that a lot of gentlemen, you know, went through and suffered, you know, for numerous years. And you know, they were successful, you know. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of my classmates, Andreas, he's another lifer. He's been down a little bit more time than me, and he did 18 years in Pelican Bay. So I mean, that's a long time. I mean, I did 7. People look at me and think that the 7.5 years that I've done in shoot time is a lot, but I mean, you have people like him that he did 18 years. I ain't talking about 18 years in prison. I'm talking about 18 years in the shoot. It's a lot of time.
Man, that's an extraordinary amount of time in solitary confinement. And let me ask you, when it came time for you to get back into general population or GP, you know, how easy was it for you to reintegrate into GP, you know, society?
It was pretty difficult. It was pretty difficult. Socially,
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
It was pretty awkward. I mean, you know, I was in good. On one hand, like I was in tremendous standing as far as, you know, my gang, you know, and because of the things that I had done to go back to the shoe and the things that I'd done while I was back there. But on the other hand, it was a culture shock. I mean, you got to understand, like, when being someplace for 5.5 years and, you know, being shackled and cuffed everywhere you go to, you know, just being uncuffed and just put on a yard and just told to behave, you know. I mean, imagine having a dog, you know, chained, you know, to you, walking around, you know, whether he's asleep or whatever, for 5.5 years, and then you just take the leash off. You know what I mean? And just tell them, go ahead, go, get out of here. You know, it's just mentally, it's just crazy. You know, like you go from a cage by yourself in a row of maybe 18 cages. You know, communicating with people with no physical human contact. I mean, the only contact I had was an officer grabbing the back of my wrist while they were escorting me. You know, and going from that to, you know, to people being around you and people wanting to shake your hand and give you a hug, and, you know, and 200 people in the yard, and, you know, they placed me in education like a month after I got there before I earned my GED. So now I'm in the classroom with like 28 people, and everybody's walking back and forth, and I'm just not used to being around people at all like this. So it was pretty nerve-wracking. It was pretty nerve-wracking. The adjustment took probably about 6 months to get reacclimated.
And what was your
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
I'll go ahead and ask this question, and then you could think about it, you know, while we reconnect. But what was your mindset, you know, going back into general population? Were you upset? Were you angry? Were you okay with it? Like with everything that you went through, and, you know, being by yourself, and, you know, you're coming back in to general population with they're just pretty much just throwing you back out there like it's normal. You know, they're not even you know, easing you into the you know, back into GP. You know, what was your mindset when you know, you're walking in? You know, you I'm sure that, you know, they come and they tell you, hey, you're going back to GP, or they have a committee hearing, and what were you thinking? What kind of thoughts were going on in your mind? What was your mindset?
Okay, I'll give you a call back, and I'll give you my answer.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and grab something to drink while we reconnect.
All right.
All right, cool. All right, so give me a moment. I'm going to step away really quick, grab something from the fridge, and I'll be back in about 2 seconds.
This call is now being recorded.
Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Thank you.
Silas Johnson.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello, Silas.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
So
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking about like go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah. I was gonna repeat the question, but you got it. So no need for that.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, right, like at that time it was 5.5 years that I spent in the shoe, and my first trip to the hole, it was 5 days. My second trip to the hole was 72 days for an investigation. My third trip was 18 months, a year and a half, and I got out and I went back to general population for like roughly 3.5 months, and then I went back for another 5.5 years. And I think that I was at first I was kind of ambivalent about being back on the yard because I was just so used to just the program and the consistency of being in the shoe. But after I got out for a little while, and I mean, you know, there were cell phones, there was I was smoking weed back then, and there was cell phones, and, you know, I was able to kind of, you know, reacclimate a little bit. I think I was thankful, you know, not to be in a controlled environment as controlled environment. I mean, obviously prison is level 4 180 is a controlled environment, but just to not be in such a controlled environment. And I wanted to stay on the yard. You know, the first couple of months I was doing everything I could to prepare myself to leave. You know, I always told myself that I shouldn't care about being on the main line. You know, I should do, you know, if because I can do whole time. I knew I could. So my mindset was, don't buy a whole bunch of stuff. Don't accumulate things, you know, because they're going to take all of that stuff when you go to the hole anyway. You know, be ready to leave at a moment's notice. And I think after a few months, I was like, okay, this is being out of the hole is kind of nice. I want to stay for a little while.
And let me ask, and right now that you mentioned that, you know, property and whatnot, what kind of property were you able to own in the shoe, or what could you buy from Canteen and how often?
Oh man, everything is. It was extreme. It got better before I left, but I mean, let me tell you, I went through 4 hard years back there until they finally, probably about a year and a half left, and they started loosening things up. When I first got back there, you weren't allowed any personal shorts, the only thing personal clothes you could have was your thermals, top and bottoms. You could have your thermals, top and bottoms. You could have, wow, that's it. Your thermals, your top and bottoms,
yeah,
and that's it. Like, you had a jumpsuit that you had for when you went outside. You had state boxers, state socks, state T-shirts. When you went outside to yard, you wore your boxers. Like, and we used to wear like 2 pair of boxers, you know what I mean? So you would wear like your boxers, and then you would wear a pair of boxers over your boxers, like as your shorts. But they had us out there in our drawers, like in your straight drawers. So at first when I got there, that was it. That was it. Your thermals. There were no personal shoes. You wore karate shoes back there. Unless you had like a shoe chrono or whatever, like I saw a shoe chrono. Yeah, the food on the canteen, they take all of your food, like a ramen, like you have it in a soup, they take it out, they put it in a paper bag, and they put the top ramen, the soup in a paper bag, and then they put all your seasoning, no matter if you had lime, shrimp, beef, chicken, it didn't matter. They put it in a cup, and they poured all of your seasoning packs in one cup.
What?
So you, I guess, I don't know. Back when we were kids, I used to go to like 7-Eleven, and I'd get a cup, and I'd just get a whole bunch of different sodas and you know, fruit punch, and we called it suicide.
Yeah.
Like you eating the suicide soup.
You know what?
Unless you buy.
Right now that you mentioned that whole thing, you know, of getting your chips and whatnot into a styrofoam cup or a bag. I think I seen that on MSNBC on either Lockup Raw or Lockdown or one of those lockup shows where I saw where they, you know, they were just opening up, you know, the few belongings or items you could buy from Canteen, and they were put in. And the first thing that I was thinking about was like, man, that stuff is gonna get stale. So you could only eat so much before you know before you know your stomach's gonna start hurting, or you know, it's not gonna be all that great. Kind of sucks. I'm guessing you probably have like a 2 or 3 day window before it just doesn't taste good anymore.
Well, there are tricks that you could you get a ton of bags for the ramen, and it insulates it. For like, we used to get the duplex cookies, right? And you put them in like, we're talking about like.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
And what we used to do is, you take the state bread, right, and you throw them in. You throw like 2 packs, 4 pieces of bread in there with the cookies, with the duplex cookies, and it would take the moisture from the bread, and the hard duplex cookies would turn soft, so they'd be like essentially like soft batch cookies. We used to do that. Just all kind of crazy little tricks and stuff. You got to, you know, like one thing about people, man, you put human beings up against it, man. We're gonna use our ingenuity and make the best of it, man. So your shampoo, they pour that in the containers into the cups. Your deodorant, if you order a gel deodorant, they are squeezing all of that shit out into a Ziploc bag, and you are going to be taking your 2 fingers and scooping a little bit of gel out and putting it under your arms. I mean, it was just, I mean, and a lot of it, maybe okay, I get the gel because of the plastic, but a lot of the stuff that they did, James, served no penological interest. It was just purely punitive and to debase you and to you know, just to dehumanize you, you know?
You know what? And right now, funny enough, that you mentioned like the shampoo in a Ziploc bag. I've been to El Salvador before, and they do that out there. Like if you go to the store and you buy like a soda pop or a soda, because normally the sodas they come in a glass bottle. So they'll pour your drink into a little plastic bag. They'll make a little hole on it, put a straw on the top, and here you go. And the reason they do that is because you know how they recycle glass and whatnot, so they don't lose out on that money if they give you the bottle. I've even had bottled water in a bag. And I looked at it, I'm not gonna drink any water out of a bag. You know, I'm a bottle type of person. I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, you know.
Man, we call ourselves capitalists. They are capitalists out there. They ain't even letting you get recycled a bottle after that bitch.
Yeah.
Damn.
Some people might be listening. They're like, "What? Like what? Would soda in a bag? Water in a plastic bag? Yeah, it's different. You know, you go to the third world countries and stuff. You know, stuff operates in a whole different way than we're accustomed to. You know, I was born and raised in LA, so you know I'm not used to those things. I remember when my sister was telling me about it. She was like, she told the lady, "No, give me the bottle. I'll pay you for the bottle. I'm not gonna drink out of a plastic bag. You crazy, you know." But yeah, man. It's,
I'm a recycling bin. The 7-Eleven is the bodega is the recycling bin. Shit.
Yeah. Man. But yeah, I mean, obviously in the shoe you didn't have a choice. You know, it was that, or you probably weren't gonna. You're probably not gonna get your belongings. And let me ask you, what is, you know, what's emotional intelligence to you? What does it mean to you?
Emotional intelligence for me is being in tune with not only the way that your emotions and your thoughts translate to how you interact with the world, but being in tune with how someone else is feeling. I think emotional intelligence is empathy. You know, it's empathy. It's consideration. It's, you know, when people talk about reading the room, you know, I think you have to have a certain level of intuition. You know, for me, I think that's what emotional intelligence is. You know, being aware of your own thoughts and feelings and you know how they translate to the rest of the world. You know, I think that would be emotional intelligence. Just to be the ultimate empath to me, you have to be empathic.
Yeah, and I think in prison, I don't think you get that too much of that, right?
You know what? The people who are successful in here are extremely emotionally intelligent. They learn how to maneuver between the residents in here. They learn what words and what reactions and what words, you know, solicited reactions from correctional officers. And
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
you know, there's some officers in here who who can be heavy-handed in here, just simply because they have authority, but they operate in a way that they're able to bridge the gap between residents and correctional officers without appearing to betray their coworkers or seem oppressive to the residents in here, and to me, someone who with that type of ability, that they're a people person. I think my wife Annie is someone who's emotionally intelligent, and really empathic and able to kind of just read people and and meet their emotional needs in the way that I just in the past I haven't been able to do, and I'm still learning, of course, and I think that the best people in here, though, they are emotionally intelligent. Even you pick your biggest and baddest murderer, gang member, or whatever he wants to call himself. People who learn what people want and what people need, and they, even if they're just patronizing them, that the people that succeed in here are emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, and do you think that's on both sides? On both sides, whether they're on the GP or on the other side?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's intelligence has. I don't think intelligence has any barriers. Intelligence, just like laughter, love, and money, there aren't any barriers. I think it translates. I find a lot of people over here that I interact with, they've taken, including myself, that have taken the skills that they've learned in criminal life and gangland life, the same attributes, and have turned them around and used them for something constructive. The same ingenuity that I use to make knives and to secret kites and to commit crimes is the same ingenuity that I'm using to do research.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
Projects in my class, and the same desire determination that I utilize to be a gang member, and my commitment is the same level of commitment I'm using now as an artist and as a full-time student. I think it translates.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and I know we're short on time, or on this call at least. We're down to about 30 seconds. If you want to go ahead and call me back, and this call coming up, it'll be our last call. I do have another call coming up with David and Jesse.
Okay.
So you could go ahead and give me a call back, and then we'll go ahead and continue. I got a few more questions for you. Maybe I could pick your brain, and maybe you could, help out either people are in the same situation as yourself or the family members. All right. So Jessica, I'm seeing these questions on here. Yeah, you know what? The possibilities are endless. Yeah, maybe he did. Was able to obtain your information because, pretty much with your name, you just type it in and what city you're from, and pretty much your address and your phone number might come up, even the people you're connected to, family members and whatnot. So, yeah, whenever you're, corresponding with anybody that's in prison or just in general, I think in general, you want to be,
This call is now being recorded.
Link. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Silas Johnson.
un preso recluido de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello, Silas.
Hey, James. Hey, just real quick, if I can, I just wanna send a quick shout out to my buddy Ed, his brother Matthew Wade. He went to board down in Tehachapi. He's a member of the Lifer community, and he got a date. So I just want to send my congrats, man, to him, his wife, his family, man, and just wish him all the best. It always does my heart some good when I hear of somebody in the Lifer community actually getting a grant and getting back out into society, man, and getting a second chance. So I just want to, say big up to him, man, and just send him my best.
Yeah, hey, likewise, that's it's not an easy feat, to do something like that. The odds are definitely, stacked against you, especially in the California Department of Corrections. At least it was, back then. Now things, changed a little bit. So, it's not easy, to stay in the straight and narrow and do the things that you need to, to come home and take care of business.
It's difficult, it's not, it's a tightrope, you gotta do it all the way legit, there's no shortcut. But, I do want to say that it's happening for us, man. It's happening for us. So everybody that's, that's discouraged, that's, get right, man. Get right, get into these programs, get your education on, get your vocation training on, and, be ready, because the door's going to open, and be ready for your opportunity to go out there and have a beautiful life.
And I will say this because, things have definitely changed, as far as, being able to get jobs, with some type of criminal history. Now, they could only go back 7 years. So a lot of the people that, that are coming home, they've been gone longer than 7 years. So pretty much they're coming home and they have a clean slate. As far as
Right.
Getting a new job, yeah, you might have a few questions because you have no prior work history. But man, you could get a job anywhere nowadays. Like for as far as myself, I'd rather be home on the streets making peanuts than being in prison and making peanuts. Because at least if you're in the streets, you could do whatever you want to do. In prison, nah, you're gonna mind somebody, whether it's the COs, the population, or the people around you. I'd rather be miserable on the street than being miserable in prison.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple, I said this a few times, in Spanish, I guess you call it mandelon.
Oh, yeah,
I was telling somebody the other day, I'd rather be at home telling my wife.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I'd rather be at home having my wife tell me what to do than these damn COs.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, sign me up. He's like, what? You want me to take out the trash? You want me to wash the dishes? As a matter of fact, next time my wife tells me to do that, I'm gonna do it with a smile on my face. Because sometimes I'd be snapping. But since you put it like that, man, I should start thinking like that. I'd rather, than listening to another man.
Yeah, Annie was talking about me doing you're gonna do laundry when you come home. I said I am doing all the laundry when I come home. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I got it.
That's right. Man, and man, I'm pretty sure you'll be home. You're gonna be home soon. What with 2024? I would say you'll probably be home in 2025 at the earliest.
Year, I'm coming home.
I'm
coming home next year.
But man, yeah, like it just goes to show, if you stay on the right track, then they're opening those doors for you. But if they find any type of reason that they could find you not suitable, they will. If you give them the reason.
Absolutely.
If you don't give them a reason,
absolutely,
they're gonna give you the key to that door and let you out. You have that key in your hand. Everybody that's in there, they really want to come home, to their family, their kids, their wives, or whoever, they have out here, or whatever plans they have in their mind, they could do it. They just have to, put some time and that effort, and, change that mindset.
Yeah, it's up to us, man. It's up to us. And I think they're opening my door for dinner right now.
Okay. Do you want to run out and grab it, or how do you want to handle it? I mean, I'll stay on the line. I'll try to over here. I'll try to navigate the boat. If you step away, and you could be back within the next few minutes, and then
Yeah, it'll take like less than 60 seconds.
Go ahead, Silas. I think I got this. I've been freshening up. I've been preparing for this moment, and hopefully, I'm able to keep.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right, thank you. All right, yeah, and speaking to these gentlemen is definitely help me, and being able to vocalize and the thoughts in my mind, to be able to speak them now. So I am getting ready to instead of having these these prison backgrounds and whatnot, I'm getting mentally ready to go ahead and start showing my face on camera a little bit more. And for those of you that are new, that haven't seen any of my in-person interviews, I only have 2 right now. But I do have I actually have one coming up soon. Next week I'm be doing an in-person interview up in Camarillo, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited if it works out the way that it was explained to me. Hopefully you guys are going to be excited, once you see it, because I'm definitely going to be bringing a different angle. The last 2 interviews, one was inside Exposition Park, or El Parque de las Rosas, and then another one we did on some railroad tracks, which was quite interesting. This one's gonna be way different than those 2. So if it does happen the way I want it to, man, you guys are definitely gonna be excited. I'm definitely gonna be bringing out the heat. I'm pulling out all the stops, and the sky's the limit. When I started these calls, I never imagined that I was gonna be going out, out into these communities and doing these in person. Me, I was just thinking I was gonna be at home, the comfort of my own home, and have these conversations and whatnot, over the phone, and months and months, of doing this, it's morphed into something else where I'm planning, whenever somebody gets paroled, I want to be there at the gate when they come home. I want to capture that, when they're walking out and their family members are there, and catching that raw human emotion, because a lot of these people, they've been away for decades, 10, 15, 20, sometimes even 30 years. So I want to bring that to the masses. Just not prison conversations. I want to cover the full scope of the things that happen in prison, the way it affects our communities, the way it affects our families, kids, wives, husband. So I want to have a full scope of what I'm doing originally. When I started this, and it never even crossed my mind, but day after day after having these conversations, you evolve. Hey, Silas, how's it going? All right.
Hello?
Yeah, Silas.
Okay. Yeah, I walked all the way downstairs, and I didn't have my blues on, my shirt. And I got there, and the CO was like, "Do you have a blue shirt?" And I was like, "Oh, shit."
Oh, okay.
I did a double trip.
But hey, don't worry.
Double walk.
I had a full 20 seconds in me of a conversation, and I was kind of like sharing my vision, when I originally started this YouTube stream to what it is now. It's been evolving. So I'm definitely I'm excited. I'm able to bring a different aspect of prison that normally you wouldn't hear. It's not we're just not talking about glorifying violence and drugs and cell phones and pulling in staff to bring in stuff for you. I think there's a lot more to share when it comes to prison. But with that being said, I think I had a question or 2 more for you. We got about 5 minutes. Hopefully, we could cover them, in that time.
Okay.
And my next question would be, do you think of yourself as self-aware?
I'd like to think. I'd like to think so. Yeah, I mean, for me, being self-aware is not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily mean doing the right things all the time. I understand that I have character flaws and deficiencies in my personality. And like us all of us have shortcomings. For me, it's just being cognizant of of the trauma that I've suffered in the past that I may respond to in a particular moment, and just being aware of that and using that knowledge to respond better in the future. So I'd like to say that I'm self-aware, of course.
All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and read off the last question here. Have you how have you experienced how have your experiences affected you? How has your experience affected your mental health?
I think it's been just a smorgasbord of different effects. I mean, I came into prison and I was, fearful. I was despondent. I was, hopeless. I was just, I mean, for a while, just going towards just insanity. I mean, I would say, I mean, I was lost in insanity for a few years, and coming back to, I mean, experiencing the loss of my parents and the loss of people who I thought were my friends and different, extended family members, and I mean, depression. I think overall, though, my experiences have made me just incredibly resilient. I have people in my life who are my foundation, my brother, my brother.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I have people in my life who are just incredible in their support of me, and even before I came to prison, it's made me resilient, and it's made me incredibly hopeful for the rest of my life, and it's made me determined. I've overcome a lot of things, and I've seen people overcome a lot of adversity, and it's just emboldened me to live out my dreams and to be more daring in my approach to life. So I would say just it's made me resilient.
Man, that's definitely that's impressive. With everything that you've been through, it just shows that the human mind is it's unstoppable. As long as you're really you're willing to put that that effort in and do the work. I definitely
put that on the T-shirt.
Annie just she's in the chat right here, and she just put a message in here that she's gonna be there to meet you at the gates, and man, I want to capture that moment when you go up there and she runs into your arms and you pick her up, man, and I'm able to share that with the audience. That's
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
That's why I'm doing this, to show that regardless of what you guys did, you guys, at the end of the day, you guys are human. A lot of us were misguided as youth, and you're straightening yourself out. I know we got about 40 seconds here. Do you want to go ahead and give anybody some shout outs or anything like that before the clock runs out?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my brother Frog. Absolutely. Shout out to my wife Annie. Shout out to my oldest brother Duro. All my nephews and nieces out there. There's way too many to name. My daughter, I love you. And man, shout out to you, man. Shout out to you and all of the brothers that come on and make this thing happen. I mean, this is an incredible opportunity, and we're
All right, guys. Sorry, the line was cut off, but hey, there you go, Lamar. Hey, always in here. I appreciate that, and I'm sure it means a lot to to Silas. But I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to cut the stream. But now, what I was saying, life's like a yeah, I was about to say life's like a box of chocolates. No, that's not Mike saying. It's life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it's lights out. And without, I'm out. But before, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to everybody that was participating in the chat. Really appreciate it. And that's why we come out here, day after day. But obviously, it hasn't been day after day. But I'm trying to get back, back to it. I just have other things going on. But I'm trying to find the let me see, like certain days, so I could go some steady days that I could do this, so you guys could anticipate us and know what days and times we're going to be coming on. I'm currently working on that. As soon as I figure it out, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know. And with that, I'm out. I'll see you guys shortly. I'm going to go ahead and start a stream with Jesse and David. They were calling me. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to pick up the call because, I was in the middle of this call with Silas. So hopefully they'll call me back soon. And as soon as they do, we'll go ahead and get back on the stream. All right. So you guys go ahead and have a good day, a good evening, and I'll see you guys shortly.